You know the task is important. You know it needs to be done. So why are you doing literally anything else? Hours later, the task is still unfinished, and now it follows you into your thoughts. Every day, millions of people face the same invisible choice. What if procrastination is not a failure of character, but a battle happening inside the brain? The strange part is that procrastination often gets worse when the stakes become higher. It's as if an unseen force keeps pulling us away from what matters most. Scientists have spent decades trying to understand the true source of this behavior. Their discoveries revealed something unexpected hiding beneath the surface. The answer may lie deep inside ancient systems that evolved long before modern deadlines ever existed. So if procrastination hurts us, frustrates us, and follows us throughout our lives, why do we keep doing it? To answer that question, we need to follow the hidden pathways of the human mind. To understand procrastination, we first need to understand how the brain makes decisions. Every choice involves a competition between what feels good now and what benefits us later. Unfortunately, the human brain did not evolve for modern productivity. For most of human history, survival depended on responding quickly to immediate needs. The future mattered, but the present often mattered more. Today, however, many of our biggest challenges involve delayed rewards. Studying, exercising, saving money, and building skills often pay off months or years later. The brain naturally pays more attention to rewards it can receive immediately. This tendency is known as present bias, and it affects nearly everyone. Given a choice, people often prefer a smaller reward now over a larger reward later. Neuroscience suggests that reward systems play a major role in this behavior. One of the most important players is a neurotransmitter called dopamine. Dopamine helps the brain identify opportunities that seem rewarding or valuable. Modern distractions are exceptionally good at triggering these reward systems. Many distractions provide instant feedback with almost no effort required. Compared with them, important work can seem slow, uncertain, and less appealing. But rewards are only part of the story. Many tasks create uncomfortable emotions before they even begin. These emotions can quietly influence our decisions without us realizing it. Avoiding the task temporarily reduces those uncomfortable feelings. For a brief moment, avoidance feels surprisingly rewarding. This creates a powerful habit loop that can reinforce procrastination. The more often we delay, the easier delaying becomes. Repeated behaviors strengthen neural pathways over time. Eventually, avoidance can become the brain's default response. For many people, procrastination is closely connected to fear. Fear of failure can make starting feel emotionally risky. Sometimes people delay because they care deeply about the outcome. And as researchers discovered, fear is only one piece of a much larger puzzle. To fully understand procrastination, researchers had to look beyond fear and examine emotion itself. Every task creates an emotional experience long before any work begins. The brain does not evaluate tasks purely through logic. It constantly asks a hidden question: how will this make me feel? If a task feels unpleasant, the brain becomes motivated to escape that feeling. Procrastination often functions as emotional self-protection. In the short term, avoidance shields us from discomfort. But what feels helpful today often creates bigger problems tomorrow. Delayed tasks rarely disappear. They usually return with added stress. The longer we wait, the heavier unfinished work can feel. This reveals another surprising feature of procrastination. The brain often treats our future self almost like a different person. When we procrastinate, we frequently transfer today's problems to tomorrow's self. Unfortunately, tomorrow eventually becomes today. Scientists discovered that long-term planning depends heavily on specific brain networks. These systems help us resist impulses and pursue distant goals. But self-control is not a constant force. Mental resources can become strained by stress and constant decision-making. Under pressure, short-term comfort can become harder to resist. This does not mean people are lazy. Modern research challenges the idea that procrastination is simply a character flaw. Highly motivated and successful people procrastinate too. The behavior appears across professions, ages, and cultures. Procrastination may be one of the most universal psychological experiences. And then researchers uncovered another major factor. Sometimes we procrastinate simply because a task feels boring. Boredom signals that the brain is not receiving enough stimulation. When attention weakens, distractions become much more attractive. The brain naturally seeks experiences that promise engagement and discovery. we encounter one of procrastination's most surprising causes: perfectionism. Perfectionism is often mistaken for motivation, but it can create powerful barriers to action. When standards become unrealistically high, starting feels far more difficult. A blank page can feel intimidating when every result must be perfect. The larger the gap between expectations and reality, the easier it becomes to delay. Sometimes procrastination hides behind endless preparation and refinement. Planning can become another form of avoidance when action never begins. Progress and perfection are not the same thing. Research shows that small progress often produces better outcomes than waiting for ideal conditions. Another major trigger for procrastination is uncertainty. The brain prefers clear rewards and predictable results. When success feels uncertain, motivation often weakens. Difficult goals frequently involve uncertainty, effort, and delayed gratification. Researchers also discovered that attention plays a crucial role. Attention is a limited resource competing against countless distractions. Modern technology constantly competes for our focus. Every interruption forces the brain to switch contexts. Returning to deep work often requires more effort than people realize. This brings us to one of the brain's most powerful systems: habits. Habits allow the brain to conserve energy by automating repeated behaviors. Unfortunately, procrastination itself can become a habit. Repeated choices gradually shape future decisions. Over time, certain triggers automatically activate familiar responses. Changing surroundings can sometimes change behavior more effectively than motivation alone. Past experiences also influence how we approach future tasks. Negative experiences can make similar future challenges feel emotionally threatening. The brain learns from experience, but sometimes those lessons become overly cautious. Our decisions are shaped not only by the present, but also by remembered emotions. Yet the story of procrastination is not only about obstacles, because once we understand why procrastination happens, we can begin learning how to overcome it. The first step toward overcoming procrastination is understanding that behavior can be changed. The brain remains adaptable throughout life, constantly reshaping itself through experience. Every productive action strengthens the possibility of future productive actions. One of the most effective strategies is reducing the size of the challenge. Large goals often create resistance, while small actions feel approachable. Progress frequently begins with actions that seem almost too small to matter. Starting often matters more than maintaining motivation. Action creates momentum, and momentum makes continued action easier. Even small accomplishments can activate the brain's reward systems. The brain becomes more motivated when progress feels visible. Visible progress transforms distant goals into manageable journeys. Environment design can dramatically influence behavior. People often rely too much on willpower and too little on their surroundings. The easier a behavior becomes, the more likely the brain is to repeat it. Small environmental changes can produce surprisingly large behavioral effects. Attention is one of the most valuable resources the brain possesses. Like a muscle, attention can strengthen through deliberate practice. Focused work reduces the mental effort required to continue. Confidence influences how difficult a task appears before it even begins. Remembering past success can reduce hesitation and uncertainty. How we interpret challenges affects whether we approach or avoid them. Viewing mistakes as learning opportunities reduces the fear of beginning. Time perception also plays a powerful role in procrastination. The brain naturally discounts rewards that seem distant. Making future outcomes feel vivid can increase present motivation. The more connected we feel to our future self, the less likely we are to delay. This connection helps transform future benefits into present priorities. By now, a pattern begins to emerge across every explanation. Many different factors contribute to procrastination, but they all point toward a common mechanism. We are finally approaching the central answer to the mystery of procrastination. The answer begins to emerge when all the pieces are viewed together. Procrastination is not primarily a time management problem. At its core, procrastination is often an emotion management problem. Many tasks trigger emotions the brain would rather avoid. Avoidance temporarily removes those uncomfortable feelings. That short burst of relief teaches the brain to repeat the behavior. The brain naturally prioritizes immediate rewards over distant ones. This makes distractions feel more valuable than they truly are. In many ways, procrastination is a conflict between comfort and growth. Different people procrastinate for different reasons, yet those reasons often lead to the same outcome. The brain seeks temporary emotional relief. This insight changes how we think about productivity. Procrastination is not simply laziness. It is the result of multiple psychological systems interacting at once. That is why procrastination appears across nearly every area of life. The costs accumulate slowly, often without immediate warning. As delays continue, stress usually increases rather than decreases. Fortunately, awareness gives us the power to interrupt the cycle. Understanding the mechanism makes change possible. Successful people are not free from procrastination. They simply learn systems that work with the brain rather than against it. The most effective solutions are usually surprisingly simple. Consistency often matters more than intensity. Action does not always follow motivation. Often motivation follows action. The mystery that seemed confusing at the beginning is becoming clearer. The evidence points toward one central conclusion. Procrastination happens when immediate emotional comfort outweighs future rewards. And that understanding reveals something even deeper about human nature. We have reached the final answer to the question that started this journey. Procrastination occurs when immediate emotional relief feels more valuable than future rewards. Many different emotions can trigger this process. That relief reinforces the behavior and strengthens the cycle. The brain learns from outcomes, not intentions. The cycle breaks when action happens before comfort seeking takes over. Often the hardest part is not the work itself, but beginning. Action frequently creates motivation instead of waiting for it. This is why procrastination appears across cultures, ages, and professions. The underlying brain systems are shared by nearly everyone. Procrastination is not a modern invention. The technology changed, but human psychology remained remarkably similar. To fully understand procrastination, we must look even deeper. For most of human history, immediate survival mattered more than distant planning. Our brains evolved to value immediate outcomes. Today, those instincts interact with goals our ancestors never faced. Modern success often depends on rewards that arrive months or years later. Human progress depends on managing this tension. The people who overcome procrastination are not fighting human nature. They learn how to cooperate with the brain's natural tendencies. Small choices repeated consistently can reshape entire lives. Extraordinary achievements often begin with ordinary actions. The mystery is no longer a mystery. We procrastinate because the brain seeks immediate emotional comfort. Understanding this process helps us regain control over it. The solution is not becoming a different person. The solution is understanding how your mind already works. When we understand the brain, we gain the ability to work with it instead of against it. And that is why we procrastinate. Not because we are lazy, but because our brains are designed to seek immediate relief.